Both my father and the daughter of his mistress were abducted simultaneously. The kidnappers informed my dad that he had to choose one to save. He didn't select me, and as a result, I was thrown from the 19th floor. In those final moments, the last thing I saw was my mother. Shortly after, both my mother and father died. My father, who had always been distant and unemotional, descended into madness. During my kidnapping, another girl about my age was present on the rooftop with me. I recognized her from a photo on my mom's phone that day. My mom had been crying while holding it. Stacy explained to my mom that the girl's name was Natalie, the daughter of my dad's mistress. I hid behind the door with my teddy bear, not understanding what a mistress meant, only hearing my mom's sobs. Later, seeing Natalie in a princess dress stirred some resentment in me. I instinctively felt that my mom's sadness was somehow connected to her. From that day forward, my dad never returned. Even on my 5th birthday, he was absent. My mom made countless calls to him, but he responded coldly, saying, "Natalie is sick. Natalie, stop causing trouble." I distanced myself from Natalie, feeling a growing rift. During the kidnapping, I could hear my dad's panicked voice on the phone, pleading, "I'm coming right now! Don't hurt her!" I shouted, "Dad, don't!" But Natalie hurried over, pushed me to the ground, and yelled, "That's my dad!" I was bewildered when my dad's comforting voice came through the phone, telling me to be good and not to be scared. My dad arrived with Natalie's mother, whom I had seen in the hospital before. When Natalie's mother saw him, she immediately collapsed and cried. My mom also arrived, but her high heels were gone, her feet were scratched, and her black hair was disheveled. The kidnappers told my dad he could only save one. Natalie's mother quickly grabbed his suit pants, but he didn't look at her. Instead, he turned to my mom, who comforted me with tears streaming down her face. It was the first time I saw her so vulnerable, her frail body trembling, her face soaked with tears, looking so delicate she might break with just a touch. "Dad, Abby is your daughter," my mom pleaded, but I could see the fear and panic in her eyes. She didn't believe he would choose me. Sure enough, my dad looked at me with cold eyes. But when he saw my tear-streaked face, there was a moment of hesitation and emotion in his gaze. Natalie's mother quickly grabbed his hand, saying, "Aiden, this is my last plea. I only have Natalie as my daughter. If something happens to her, I can't live either." My dad looked up and made a swift decision to choose Natalie. My mom almost lost her mind, rushing forward and repeatedly hitting my dad's face, but he didn't resist. She cried and knelt before the kidnappers, begging, "Please spare my daughter. You can have anything else you want." The kidnapper smiled and said, "Don't you hear the police sirens downstairs?" My mom looked up, shocked to see that the kidnappers had already lifted me up. I glanced at my dad's stern face, my head hanging low as memories flooded my mind. I thought about the cloth doll and the castle my dad had given me when I was little, how he used to comfort me, calling me his little treasure. He had prepared pretty dresses and bought me beautiful princess shoes. I pouted and angrily hugged his neck, asking why he didn't choose me, his big treasure. He looked up, glanced at my mom beside him, and smiled as he explained, "That's because Dad already has a big treasure." I angrily asked who that was. He hugged my mom, who was blushing, and kissed her forehead. "Of course, it's Mom," he said. I saw my mom's face turn red, but my dad gently squeezed her hand. She looked at me, and though I didn't understand why her face was red, she still smiled with her little white teeth. My mom looked beautiful when she smiled, and my dad chuckled softly. Dad had promised me the biggest birthday cake for my birthday, but he didn't deliver. On my birthday, I waited on the sofa for him. My mom told me he was working overtime, but I knew she was lying because I heard her talking on the phone with him. Dad had clearly said, "Natalie is in the hospital. Natalie, stop causing trouble." I believed he would come back. He had never lied to me, so after my mom fell asleep, I sneaked downstairs to wait for him at the villa's door, but he never returned, and I fell asleep. When I woke up, I was already in the hospital. My mom wore a beige dress, her delicate face filled with worry. When she saw me awake, she hugged me and cried, blaming herself for me sneaking downstairs, which had made her so sad. Stacy approached and said, "Abby, just assume your dad is dead. You've been burning up for 2 days, and he hasn't come to see you." Stacy stopped talking, and I understood. My mom gently scolded Stacy, who looked displeased but sighed softly when she saw my pale face, asking, "How many times have you called him? Has he come?" I hung my head, feeling dejected, but I truly loved my dad. My mom lowered her eyes and touched my forehead. "The fever is down," Stacy said after completing the transfer procedures, instructing us to go to another hospital. My mom held me and prepared to leave. I was too weak to lift my eyes, but I saw my dad's stern face in the next room. On a pink children's bed was a little girl in a small dress, the same age as me, with an aunt beside her smiling and poking my dad's chest. Laughter and joy seemed to overflow from them, appearing as the happiest family of 3. My mom stopped in her tracks, her soft body trembling. Later, my forehead was soaked with warm drops falling on my eyelashes. Was it raining? I wondered drowsily, but lost consciousness. All I could hear were my mom's horrified cries, saying we hadn't managed to switch hospitals. My mom stayed with me for a week. During that time, I often sneaked into the corridor when she wasn't around, standing there and peeking through the door crack to see my dad in the opposite room, feeding Natalie and hugging her. When I turned around, I saw my mom standing behind me, her tears falling one by one, but she was smiling as she looked at me. I went up and hugged her, saying, "I don't want him to be my dad anymore because I don't want Mom to cry anymore." "Dad!" I couldn't help but call out to him. He was stunned. "Dad, this is the last time I'll call you Dad." His eyes were full of panic, his thin lips moving as if he wanted to say something but didn't. I looked down, feeling dejected. The kidnapper was holding me in the air, and I vaguely sensed what he was about to do. I lifted my face and smiled at my mom, who was crying incessantly. "Mom, don't cry. Abby will be sad. It's okay, Mom." As soon as I finished speaking, I heard my mom and dad's panicked voices. It turned out the kidnapper had let go. My mom looked at the scene with bloodshot eyes. Then her heart-wrenching voice reached me. "Abby, Aiden, I really regret it." Dad's heartbreaking scream followed. I saw my mom's frail figure appear in front of me. She had lost so much weight and held me tightly in her arms. "Be good, Abby. I love you." I cherished the gentle sound of my mom's voice the most. I nestled my head on her shoulder, looking at the blurry figure above, and closed my eyes. "Mom, I love you so much. Let's not have Dad anymore, okay?" I heard my mom's voice choke with emotion. Suddenly, after a strong impact, I lost all consciousness. I only felt my mom holding me tightly. I transformed into a little sprite, able to float in the air like the sprites in the stories my mom had told me. I wanted to find her, but I saw her right across from me, holding an identical version of me. She gently pressed her lips to my forehead. I heard screams around us as more and more people gathered, wanting to help my mom, but they couldn't hear my voice. I cried as the surrounding uncles and aunts also wept, covering their mouths and saying, "This child is so cute, how could this happen?" I heard the police bringing down the kidnapper, who was a fugitive. Later, the mother descended. Why did she hold the child so tightly? It's so pitiful. I couldn't bear to watch as uniformed uncles and aunts rushed over to separate my mom and me, their stern faces showing no mercy. Despite her frailness, my mom held me tightly, and they couldn't pull us apart. The aunts cried, and the uncles turned away with red eyes, unable to bear the sight. My mom was taken away. I saw my dad kneeling on the ground with vacant eyes, and Natalie's mother, hiding in the car with Natalie, smirking at me. I was calm, not running around, but a uniformed uncle said, "No one wants Mom and me." I heard my dad's indifferent voice on the phone. "They're not related to me. Do whatever you want with them," before hanging up without hesitation. I crouched in a corner, covering my ears, not wanting to hear my dad's voice anymore because it hurt so much. Later, Stacy arrived and took my mom and me away. Stacy cried into a small wooden box, and I wanted to hug her so much, but I couldn't because I couldn't touch anything. I had tried many times. The door opened, and my dad arrived with Natalie's mother behind him. When Stacy saw this, she rushed forward and slapped my dad, leaving a red handprint. "Dad, how dare you come here? Get out of here. Don't dirty Natalie and Abby's funeral." My dad turned his face slightly red at the corners of his eyes, but still looked cold. He pressed his lips together and spoke softly. "Hey, I just came here." Before he could finish, Stacy interrupted him sharply. "Why come? Their bodies are what you abandoned. You knew very well Natalie is an orphan, and you left her and Abby there, refusing to take them." Stacy choked up, tears filling her eyes. She couldn't hold back and cried again. Her chest heaved as she squatted down, breathing heavily, and then stood up again. After a long while, she said, "Aiden, get out now." Parker stepped forward to support Stacy and softly said to my dad, "Aiden, you are not welcome here." My dad glanced at me and then at a gentle photo of my mom, though it lacked any pretty colors. I thought about going back to the villa to get my paintbrush and, like before, color my mom's lips with the prettiest shade. My dad still remained. I quietly followed him, wanting to go back to the villa to get the paintbrush, but not wanting him to find out, because my mom and I had agreed to never want him again. In his next life, Dad summoned his assistant to his office and instructed the tech team to verify whether the recordings had been altered. He handed his phone to the assistant, who returned shortly after with some concerning news. "Aiden, these recordings were created using the latest audio replication technology. It's odd because one of them dates back 6 years, which wasn't feasible domestically at that time." Dad was taken aback. He grabbed his phone and dashed outside in search of Natalie's mother. When she opened the door, she was visibly shocked and took a couple of steps back from the enraged Dad. His demeanor was more intense than Aiden had ever seen, with red veins pulsating in his eyes. "The person who secretly sent me money every month wasn't you, was it? The one in the text messages wasn't you either. It was Natalie, right? So the recordings you provided were fabricated?" Seeing Dad's bloodshot eyes, Natalie's mother looked up, nervously avoiding his gaze. "How is that possible, Aiden? What's wrong?" She began to reach out to him, but before she could finish, Dad violently shoved her to the ground and sat on the sofa. Natalie screamed and cried out loud. Uncle Chi, you're too intense. Natalie doesn't like you anymore." Dad ignored her and left without a second thought. He got into his car, hunched over, covering his face as his body trembled uncontrollably. Dad was crying. Aiden had never seen him shed tears before. The driver, sitting in the front seat, glanced back in shock. "Are you okay, Dad?" Dad suddenly laughed, though tears still streamed down his face. "I actually gave up my Abby for another child. Do you think Abby was in pain when she fell? Would she have called out for Dad? She's so afraid of pain. She must have cried. But she said she wouldn't call me Dad anymore." Later, Dad informed Stacy that Natalie's mother had been taken. He discovered that the kidnapper was hired by Natalie's mom, and that the kidnapper himself was a fugitive. Natalie's mom had paid him a substantial amount, and Dad smirked, believing she would never escape again. However, Dad felt it wasn't sufficient because it didn't alleviate Mom's pain. A few days after, Natalie's mother passed away. A cold, mechanical voice echoed in the void. "System notification. Tasker Haley's attempt to capture the male lead has failed, and the female lead's reversal task has also failed due to the host signing an additional agreement 2 months ago. The system has successfully transferred the male lead's daughter's lifespan to the host. In accordance with the agreement, after the task failure, soul disintegration punishment will be enforced." After the punishment was executed, Natalie approached Dad. Her princess dress was soiled, her face marked with tear stains, and she was kneeling at the villa's entrance, pleading for Dad to let her in. Dad refused, instructing the housekeeper to evict her. Curious, Aiden followed to see what transpired. After Natalie left, she boarded a van with a tall, slender man, and Aiden couldn't catch up. Upon returning to the villa, everyone inside had been driven away. Dad was clutching Mom's ring, crying incessantly. He sat on the floor and noticed a document that had fallen nearby, a divorce agreement he had seen before. After being discharged, Mom had continuously cried over it. "Natalie, so that night you wanted me to come back for this, didn't you? No, you loved me too much to abandon me," Dad muttered to himself. "We had agreed not to involve Dad. Mom wouldn't want him to. Mom would never lie to me." Dad flipped through the pages, speaking aloud. "You only wanted Abby. What about me, Natalie? My wife? I was wrong. Will you come back?" He kept stroking Mom's name on the last page. From that day forward, he never left the house again. When the assistant approached him, urging him to return to the company, Dad ignored him. The assistant confided that Dad had lost his sanity, drinking heavily every day. After drinking, he would call for Mom and Aiden, but how could he forget they were both dead? Stacy and Parker visited Dad and saw his deteriorated state. Stacy laughed sarcastically. "Aiden, you're really pathetic. You gave up Abby and now you're like this." "It's truly disgusting." Parker looked at Dad with pity and grabbed Stacy's hand. "Let it go," Stacy sneered. "When Haley begged you to save her daughter, she said she only had one daughter, Abby. Abby would survive without a daughter, but Natalie wouldn't." With each word Stacy spoke, Dad's complexion grew paler, his eyes red and weary. Parker finally sighed and pulled Stacy away. But before leaving, Stacy turned to Dad and said, "Aiden, Natalie must regret loving you. Did you know that while you were with Haley's daughter in the hospital, Abby was next door, and Natalie was taking care of her alone? Where were you at that time? Now that people are dead, why all this false affection?" Dad's eyes widened, his pale lips moving slightly. In the next instant, he frantically grabbed his car keys and rushed outside. Aiden followed him to the hospital. After returning, Dad remained in his study, watching the hospital surveillance footage. The screen showed Aiden in a small patient gown, his face pale, standing in the corridor with Mom crying while smiling at him in the opposite room. Another room displayed Dad holding Natalie, urging her to take medicine. Ironically, Dad's expression grew even paler. Aiden lowered his head, unable to watch Dad's computer screen any longer. After a while, Dad looked up as if he had an epiphany. He reviewed the company's surveillance footage, along with videos from outside the villa, watching them repeatedly. The footage showed Aiden, Mom, and Dad playing with a bouncy ball in the yard. Dad deliberately held the ball high, refusing to give it to them. Aiden, frustrated, asked Mom for help. Mom pinched his little face and agreed, but even though she jumped up, she couldn't reach the ball in Dad's hand. Dad grinned and pointed to his cheek. Mom's face turned red. When Aiden wasn't paying attention, she reached out to hold Dad's shoulder and granted his small wish. Confused, Aiden clapped for Mom. "Mom is great." Dad looked at Mom's flushed ears with a smirk, curling his lips. He watched with obsessive longing, but when he saw Aiden's small figure appear at the villa door, Dad was stunned. At that moment, Aiden was talking to himself. "Dad is a liar. Mom and I secretly cried. I felt Mom's pillow was wet. Today is my birthday, Dad. You promised to buy me the biggest cake." Aiden collapsed at the villa door. A short while later, Mom hurried out holding him. Dad turned off the computer, covering his face and trembling slightly. The next morning, Dad went to the company wearing the suit Mom had bought for him, seemingly forgetting that Mom and Aiden were already dead, as if nothing had changed. After work, Dad would call Mom and Aiden, conversing with thin air about office events. "Darling, did you know the assistant's son is getting married? Didn't he tell you he would invite us when he did? Darling, on my way back, I saw a new princess dress from AE. Abby would love it." The nanny, terrified by Dad talking to thin air, fled in panic. Later, Dad started coming home later and later. Aiden noticed he was frequently meeting with an uncle. "Don't worry, I will definitely help you," the uncle told Dad, claiming he could resurrect Mom and Aiden. But Aiden knew he was a fraud. Indeed, the uncle swindled all of Dad's money. However, Dad wasn't distressed. He continued sending people to locate the uncle, desperate to have them resurrected. The uncle, frightened, pushed Dad away. "You're a madman," the assistant confirmed. "The uncle has gone abroad and won't return." Dad wept upon returning to the villa, but refused to give up. He sold the company, other properties, and even his car, leaving him with nothing but the villa. He carried large sums of money everywhere, trying to find someone to bring back Mom and Aiden, but inevitably, all his funds were stolen. In despair, Dad bought vast quantities of alcohol, drinking daily and sinking into deep slumber. "I miss Mom and Aiden," he lamented. He approached Stacy, begging her to reveal the locations of their graves. Stacy refused, leaning on the sofa and looking at Dad with disdain. "You didn't want them back then, so why ask now? Natalie is an orphan. If I hadn't stepped in, no one would have taken them. When you told the police you didn't know Natalie and refused to claim their ashes, you forfeited the right to see them again." Dad took a step back, forced a bitter smile, and remained silent. Parker, witnessing Dad's emaciated state, sent him a text message. Stacy shot him a glare and stormed upstairs. Parker gave Dad a sorrowful smile. "Aiden, this is the last time I'm helping you." Dad nodded silently, opened the text, and dashed outside in a frenzy, not even noticing his shoes had come off. He stumbled and knelt before their graves, weeping uncontrollably. He repeatedly touched the photos of Mom and Aiden. "Carly, do you think if I die, I could find you again?" Father collapsed, his back pressing against the gravestone, appearing unnaturally thin. Parker soon arrived, exhaling deeply, and escorted Father back to the villa. Upon awakening, Father immediately began drinking heavily. After regaining consciousness, he stopped eating, clearly resolute in his decision. I noticed a dark mist slowly surrounding Father. When intoxicated, he would visit the cemetery, sharing stories of happier times with Mother and me. A few days later, he saw me. Father smiled and said, "Abby, my dear Abby." Tears welled up in the corners of his eyes as he looked at me. Father no longer looked handsome. His clothes were dirty. He smelled strongly of alcohol mixed with vomit, and his cheeks were sunken. I was puzzled by how Father could suddenly see me. "Abby, come here," he called, but I instinctively shook my head. Father smiled, though tears continued to fall. "Where is Mother? Abby, are you blaming Dad?" I remained silent, almost as if I accepted his presence. Father rushed to embrace me, but we both recoiled in fear. "Dad, I don't want you anymore," I whispered softly. My gentle voice brought another smile to Father's face, but it was tinged with pain, as if he feared scaring me. His voice was tender, reminiscent of the times he used to comfort me. "Abby, Dad is mistaken. Please forgive me, okay?" He kept moving closer. I tried to leave, but was pulled into a faint yellow glow. Father screamed as he watched me disappear. 3 days later, someone at the cemetery was startled to find a lifeless man slumped before the gravestone. A significant amount of time had passed. A kind monk sighed, contemplating that every effect has its cause. Later, on a small hill opposite the cemetery, a new tiny grave appeared, but it was too distant to see inside. Asterisk, asterisk, epilogue. Asterisk, asterisk. The story concludes. If you were in the protagonist's place, would you forgive them? Affirmatively, I looked up at the woman before me, Mother, who appeared 10 years younger than I remembered, and smiled. She wore a simple white dress, her long black hair flowing down her slender back with a few playful strands resting on her soft shoulders. She was beautiful, exuding a youthful charm that differed from my memories. "I finally found you, Mom." Mother blinked and offered a slight smile. "Abby, you're only a year younger than me. Why do you seem so mature?" "It's just a story. Why so suddenly sentimental?" "Touched," Mother nodded, pointing to my eyes. I realized I had been crying without noticing. "I'm just emotional." I composed myself and cheerfully took Mother's hand. I asked, "Carrie, do you like Aiden?" Mother shook her head. "I only met Senior Aiden at the freshman welcome party. Why do you ask that now?" I smiled, holding her arm. "Just curious." As I was about to leave the cafeteria, I glanced back at a tall, familiar figure in the corner wearing a white shirt. His posture was slightly rigid, with a hint of disappointment in his eyes. The phone he had been holding lay nearby. A boy approached him, patting his shoulder inquisitively. "Aiden, weren't you supposed to find Abby and exchange contact information? Why are you here instead?" Aiden lowered his head, feeling a sense of loss, as if something had gone wrong. "It's nothing," he replied, as the other person showed no interest, making further inquiry unnecessary. Years later, Mother had become a renowned designer and inadvertently met a university professor named Brady. Concerned, I secretly followed him to investigate and was surprised when I was discovered. He wasn't angry. Understanding my worries, he cooperated and provided detailed information about Brady. Coming from a scholarly family with no bad habits, an excellent background, and even 3 generations of medical records. I nodded, wishing him success in pursuing Mother. He smiled. Indeed, a month later, Brady began courting Mother. Although Mother informed him that she couldn't have children, Brady was momentarily taken aback, but soon became even more affectionate towards her. While I didn't understand why Mother was infertile, I remained silent and discreetly reviewed Mother's medical report. It confirmed that Mother couldn't conceive. I was stunned when Brady didn't hesitate and even underwent a sterilization procedure for Mother. Holding the report, he stood before Mother and declared, "Now we are alike. You cannot conceive, and I am infertile. Doesn't that make us a perfect match?" Mother cried. In this life, she had been steadfastly chosen,